stuff out here?
No, they only at the...
Okay, maybe I'll show you guys that as well. So you can get an idea where they sort of do some of the entertainment. But like, all of these tiles came out of basically castles in Europe.
Really?
So she assembled it all there, like, you know, so there was like a room, it's the Portuguese room, and that came from some sort of Portuguese castle. It's like, you know, like Americans buying an old barn and using the wood because they like the rustic look, right? They did that, so all of the tile was basically imported from all these kind of dilapidated castles in Europe.
Like hand-picked, right? Jeez.
Yeah. This was all basically coral reef, back when you could do that.
Yeah.
You know, carved, and that was the stone they used to build the whole place.
Wow.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How you doing?
Hi.
But I'd probably never move out of my parents' house if I live here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so as a kid, like how many people are like working here, like staff this place?
Yeah, you know, again, when it wasn't a club, it was actually, you know, pretty small, right?
Really?
You know, because it's just, you know, now you have to maintain it and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
relatively speaking. Now
Yeah,
you
the maintenance on this looks like hell.
hundreds of people that you know, employ. You know, once the sun goes down, you get an idea of sort of how this all looks up there. And, you know, that's my father's suite where he stays.
Really?
You know, that whole, it's like a whole wing once you get through those gates. Actually, the light here now is pretty cool.
Oh, this is crazy.
I guess there is some sort of little park in there.
It's almost like a car meet.
Yeah, they'll do big car shows here and stuff like that, where they'll bring in all the vintage Ferraris or whatever it is, and you know, use the whole lawn. This is like I guess a small one. Those look like new cars, so they must be introducing some sort of. Obviously, with Palm Beach, when every time they drop a new car, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's some.
I've never seen that one before.
I don't know.
Are you into cars?
I mean, I like cool cars, but I'm not like a car guy.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
You're probably getting driven around, so you're not doing much
no,
driving.
I drive myself, man.
Really?
Yeah. Man, I was your driver tonight.
You were. Hey, listen. The first time we met, I was looking at Chris. I was looking at Chris like, yo, he's crazy because you took the picture of me and your father. Yeah, you took the picture. You're down to earth, man. That's what I realized about you. Like,
We were kind of brought up that way. Listen, I'm not pretending I wasn't spoiled, but like, you know,
you don't come across with the attitude of, yeah, I'm better than the regular folk. You know what I mean?
well, that's the way. With my dad, that was what it was. Like, man, when we started, like, he had us working at like 13, and like I started working like putting up sheetrock.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like, so if we're going to be in real estate, like, you better know how to dig a fucking foundation. Not in theory. You will have done it, so that no one's ever going to take advantage.
Pops was like that. He would,
dude, I drove D10 Caterpillars. I ran chainsaws. I did landscaping. I
really?
worked as a dock attendant, you know, hooking up sewer stuff for boats at one of our places. Like, we started at the lowest rung imaginable and worked from there.
How do you even instill that? Like, that's one thing, you know, I'm like, you know, obviously not to the extent you guys are, but I finally have a few bucks,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about how I grew up versus how I want my kid to grow up, right? And I'm like, I want him to have some of the luxuries of life that I didn't, but how do I still have that work ethic and that humbleness instilled in them? And like, when I'm looking at you, like, that's at such a high level for you to still be pretty down to earth, you know, look like you're down to get your hands dirty, like, whenever possible.
Well, with them, it was like, we were spoiled with cool experiences, but not necessarily like, here's your 16, here's a Ferrari. We didn't get
Okay.
that. Like, we had to
Yeah,
work
yeah.
for shit. You know what I mean? So, but we got to see the world, and we got to, you know, we'd be awesome vacations or whatever it is. So you saw a little bit of,
You guys can have a ball in here, huh?
yeah.
Jesus. How much
No,
square
so-
footage is like?
Oh, man, yeah, honestly, I couldn't even tell you right now. This is probably 25,000. And, you know, he built his offices on top of this, so his offices are here, his room's right there. So he just, you know, when he's here during that time of year, he'll start heading up basically after usually, you know, Mother's Day or whatever, and then spend the summers up north because it gets pretty damn hot. But otherwise, he's here full time now.
Wow. Jesus. Don't tell me you know the secret passages in here too.
Now, this one he actually built himself.
Really?
Just to sort of mimic the house. I mean,
Okay.
he built it to do, to accommodate the big weddings and dudes dropping $5 million for weddings and stuff like that. You need a proper room for it. You can't do the tent thing in the yard,
True.
And so he built this kind of to match the rest of the field, but this was, built around, I guess '08.
Really? This is huge.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool event space. Like they do a good job with it, and sort of works and flows pretty damn well.
You ever feel like tiny being here?
I guess I'm sort of used to it. You know what I mean? It's like half the time for me, it's like I stay home. I'm actually like borderline antisocial, so it's like I can do it. You give me a mic, I'm pretty good. You know, I can talk, I can do that. But I'm like,
you probably got
my reality is I just like to be left alone.
You probably got like thrown. Did you do like much like public speaking before, like campaign?
Like, yeah, I used to do like that a lot.
Really?
Even before we got into politics, so that was sort of natural. I ended up on a lot of the stuff. Mostly that was business stuff, right? And
okay.
So,
yeah.
I did that all over the world. Before ever politics, and so once that integrated, it was good to have that experience.
Jeez. Oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, if somebody's dropping $5 million for a wedding too, I'll get this place rocking, man. I just got to get a DJ set in the corner. Oh, this is great. Oh, wow. Got a stage and everything. So, what side of the yard is this?
That's basically, sort of that back wall, like, when we drive out, we'll probably head that way.
Yeah.
To look back around. So, that's just sort of, the back area. So usually if you did an event, they'd shut all that down. That pool area, that would be where you do like the, pre-banquet, whatever it is, appetizers, whatever.
Yeah.
Cocktail hour, and then everyone funnels in here for sort of, dinner, dancing, whatever it may be,
Oh, wow.
It's where I have a big setting now.
Yeah.
600 people.
Really? In here?
Yes, for animals.
The way the search works, the way, they have a narrative, and that's what you see. Like, if you Google a topic, CNN is the least viewed network on cable, and yet all their articles show up first on Google. Why is that? Because they're okay with that bias, so they're going to show you that. So if you're the average consumer, you're just like, hey, I'm looking it up on Google. This is what I see. Therefore, that must be right. You're not going to scroll to page 300 to find the article from
wherever,
someone objective or someone,
And I remember one of my favorite things to watch when I do like try to like maybe a bored day, but I like to hear kind of some political conversation back and forth. I love listening to these social media guys. Whether it's like the CEO of Google or whatever, they're up on Capitol Hill getting grilled. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Because like they're like doing mental gymnastics of just explaining how it's just completely coincidence, right?
Magic.
Wait, like how come this here, you enforce this policy with this person, but you didn't here? Oh, we'll get back to you on that.
I started bitching about like the shadow bans in 2016.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, well, how do you know? I go, well, yesterday I was getting 7,000 retweets a post. Today I got 10. They're like 10,000. I go, no, 10. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're like, I was like, that didn't just change. I still have millions of followers,
no, of
but
course.
only 10 people are reposting my stuff magically. Like that, of course something happened.
That's like, especially I care about that when it comes to business, right? Because it's like, of course, I'm not meddling into politics necessarily, but we want to be able to post whatever. But we're also incentivized by the fact we're running the business. So now it's like, we're almost like talking to these platforms like, let us know what we shouldn't put up because we're not trying to like piss you guys off, right? Like,
But it's also hard to do what you're doing, which is sort of you're the leading edge of something, right? Especially when you're talking about culture.
Yeah.
Like
It's impossible.
You need to be out there and be edgy, and that by definition is going to piss some people off, and that's
exactly.
the problem. If you don't do that, then what are you doing? You're just
and that's why even like I like what even Nelk did. They wanted to. Which, by the way, I just thought that was a no-brainer, right? Like, I can't even believe so you're telling me that you're having a former president interview with a podcast that's super huge among American teenage and men in their 20s. they want to be informed, but informed in a way that they can relate to. They like hearing people shooting the shit and kind of getting that information that way.
Hear it from a trans activist on MSNBC.
Exactly.
Like that's not quite the same.
So why should that be like completely censored?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're kind of there. Yeah, we're kind of there though. So it's like it's at a, you know, I'm hoping that these things change. And usually I think things work like very, you know, cyclical, which it'll go to one extreme and kind of come back.
Yeah,
and then eventually always like narrow out to the middle. Yeah.
That people are like, whoa, slow down, and that's what I'm saying. I think that's why you're getting, you know,
it's like feminism.
Changing
It's like
they come in around like, okay, well, you know, maybe it's not.
Yeah, it's like how feminism, like, well, in theory, no one wants to not have rights for women, and then it got so extreme. Like let's basically just emasculate all dudes. Then you get like certain type of like red pill and all these. It's like it's always a response to.
You see that in all these. I mean, to be like a straight dude right now.
Yeah.
Brutal. Like, feminine. Like, but then like, and then all the women.
Probably.
Like, how come no guy wants to date? It's like you just stuck every dude on a corner. You chop their fucking dicks off.
If I was a gay guy, I would be uncancelable.
Oh yeah.
But as a straight guy, you better watch your fucking mouth.
You gotta go trans.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta go trans. That's the ultimate. That's the ultimate privilege, man.
Yo, this guy,
trans, like,
there's this guy, his name is Joe Budden. He's not even gay. He's not gay. But you know what? He realized the climate. He said, just to let everyone know, I'm bisexual. Okay? I'm with that community. And he's only saying it that he could kind of cross a couple lines without people like trying to get him out of here. It's kind of sad the world we live in, man.
I joke like with my boys that are like my 15-year-old and stuff like that who kind of gets it. He's like, hey dude, like you want to get into college? Like you got to be trans because you ain't getting it. As a white boy with the last name Trump, you're fucked, man. Like, you know, you ain't going to school, so we got to come up with a game plan for you.
Well, apparently it's getting pushed through schools like that agenda, right? So like, how do you?
Well, that's the craziest thing. I mean, our daughter was in a school like in New York City, at one of these top schools. That's one of these places that you know sends their kids to the Ivy League.
Yeah.
You saw the craziness with the Ivy League over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
You know, is it a violation of your policy to say, you know, to call for the genocide of, you know, how is this is not a trick question. Like, this is, you know, at any other stage in our time, like, I'd have been thrown out of school in 2 seconds if I said anything like these people are saying. You know, and they're up there on, I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. And you're right, that indoctrination has taken over our schools. It's broken up the system. It's, you know, you know, my father got in trouble saying it basically in 16, but I think it holds true again. Like when you're talking, like he was talking to the African American community, and it was like, oh, like what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Like, is there a great success going on? You know, in Baltimore schools or in wherever? Like no, like they're failing miserably. Like just because someone.
Yeah, there was a thought and fear that we're going back to 1700 slavery again.
I get it, but that's like driven by the media, right?
No,
like,
of course.
Like none of that obviously happened.
And I think that's the thing too. We're working with fear politics too, right? So it's like probably the most effective strategy for Biden is to get people to, you know, fear change, right? To be like, yo, hey, if you go here, even though your life hasn't really improved, maybe it kind of decreased in the last 4 years, just to let you know, if you get a change, you guys are basically putting on shackles, right?
Yeah, but if you look at the policies, especially as well as you had the permanent funding of historically black colleges, you had the First Step Act, that was a big deal. You had the opportunity zones for the inner cities, like that by itself was more policy than any Democrat had actually ever done for that community.
Yeah.
And yet, well, Trump did it, so it doesn't count. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, it's kind of you can't have it both ways, right?
That's the problem, I believe, kind of almost mentally and societal wise, a little bit with like our community where we're so indoctrinated to certain stuff. Like, you know, if Trump does anything positive, it's almost like you find a way to discredit it. You know what I mean? It's like
if it was someone else.
Yeah, but if it was someone else, it's like if it was someone else basically saying, "Hey, listen, we're giving $1 billion to all the newly trans people, and here's like $15 for you guys to share." Okay, check that. You know,
but that's
like
what we're doing with Ukraine.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like 130, they want to send another $60 billion. So let's call it $200 billion.
Yeah.
We're funding Ukrainian pensions There are pensioners in America that have no chance of ever seeing their pension, just the unfunded pension liability. You know, oh yeah, we'll invest it in a fund. I'm like, yeah, but you're spending 10 times more than you're making. Like, it won't exist. Same with many cases, people would say Social Security. Right? Like, you pay into a system, it's never going to be there for you, and they want to expand it, and they want to give it to illegals, and they want to give it to like. What about the people that have been paying into it for their whole lifetimes?
Yeah.
So they drag it out, kick the can down the road, say it's but we're going to fund pensions in Ukraine. Like it's literally part of what they're asking for. Like I don't know, just it's crazy, and yet no one gets into the details, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Those actual doors?
Yeah,
I guess
it's like
that's
passage to get
okay. Those are
through, so you can get to the main entrance. Just go through that. Welcome.
after living here. Anywhere else must be either cramped or uncomfortable, right?
It's incredible. I appreciate it. It's not necessarily my style for like day-to-day living, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
it feels a little formal for that, but
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely it's a special place. Like I said, it's sort of that's what's interesting. This time, if it's going like that, it feels great here. But you get out on the porch and the house blocks it all, and it gets hot real quickly.
Yeah, I can imagine like mainland Florida is probably getting it, but here you're getting a nice breeze.
On the water, it's always good, and it's also good for the bugs. Given
This is nice. Ooh.
It's a pretty cool roof. All hand painted, gold leaf, like just there's a sort of level of craftsmanship that you can't get anymore.
How tall is this ceiling right here? Hey,
30-something feet, 35 feet.
Yeah. You should see me in my house. Like I think I got like 18 feet. I'm trying to change a light bulb, so I got the
one of the extensions
yeah.
with the little grippy things that they drop the bulb.
And I'm telling you, like, and I'm like, there gotta be a better way. That's like $1 million idea.
Yeah.
But up here is like, no, well, at least like how do you even get up there to even, no? It's kind of feel like something out of like it, not only does it feel like a castle, it feels like when I think of like ancient, like it's like the ancient times where like people are like having like when they're going to war and they have swords and these big shields or whatever. Yeah, medieval times. Yeah, exactly.
Medieval
right.
times, but a little classier. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I'm expecting to go like in a room with like an extra long table with like those big cups that are like almost like bronze.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And someone eating like
drinking out of a skull.
Yeah, someone has a drumstick that's this big, and I don't even know what animal they're actually eating. Now, this is good. It looks like definitely you guys have done a lot to keep history with it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the whole even the preservation societies and stuff like that. It's like an American landmark. So there's only so much changing you can actually do. But when you have a house that's built in like early 1900s, it's like there's a lot of upkeep to do that. There's
we're gonna put like a little HVAC system in here, and more fans. Chill out, like you know what I mean. You gotta. It's not gonna be like, hey, we're changing the floor to marble, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, library type stuff. But yeah, one day come out. Do you ever make it back down to the office? And I'll take you through all the rooms. You can kind of see because each one of them is sort of like from a different country, almost literally like where they.
It's like a cool little bar area right here.
Cool wood bar,
What year was this?
I don't know.
Actual portrait, or like is he posed for this, or?
I think there's a funny story to this one. Apparently, the artist basically sent him this on his own, but didn't put in the hand. So he's like, "Hey, if you want to, this is for you, and it's gonna be 25 grand, whatever it is, for me to finish the hand." So my dad was like, just found someone else to paint in the hand. It was like, okay, I'll keep it like that. So it was like, give me a break. I'm not getting extorted for that. It was sort of a funny answer. That's why the hand doesn't quite match.
They wanted to get payment for the hand placement. Hilarious. Yeah. That's one way to do it, right? Oh, nice. That's interesting as fuck. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, and then, like I said, you got the lawn and all that stuff. Yes, once you get out of the breeze, it's a little bit warmer.
I know, right?
Saying
It's
this
nice.
countertop is $18 million.
You know, this is.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
you know, Don, this is new from what they, last season they had the
Yeah.
concrete one. Would you like an iced tea, honey?
I'd like a bottle of water if
Yeah.
Bottle of
possible.
water? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
Isn't it pretty?
Yeah. You definitely gotta like take it in.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Would we ever want to sit in here? I don't know, just because there's shade.
Oh my God.
For dinner, I don't know. It's gonna
Yeah,
be.
you
Look,
get
I
it
think it's
so
gonna be pretty
soft,
warm. I'm
honey.
getting lazy, dude.
You get soft.
You know what? We can sit inside for a bit and then
Yeah,
have
hang
dinner
out.
a little bit later and hang out. Yeah,
Cool.
that's probably a better idea than hanging
Yeah,
out here. Let the sun go
let
down.
the sun go down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Plus, we got to go back to the front and get some photos and start
Yeah.
teasing online.
Yeah.
Do you want sparkling or still?
Still, please.
Okay, still.
So how much is your crowd gonna give you a hard time for this one?
Don, ice
No. Again, I told him, I said, they started writing like think pieces like, hey, listen, the right wing has infiltrated hip hop and they're doing it through this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but like you said, it seems like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think anyone's infiltrating 50, right? Like he's gonna do it on his own, right?
No,
like
of
and if
course.
he thinks something, he's gonna say it. He doesn't give a shit, right?
That's exactly why, he's just one of the more vocal people, but the conversation has changed. The people who would have said, well, hey, I'm either leaning that direction or I'm interested to see what's going on, they would have stayed quiet. Now everyone's just proclaiming like, yo, hey, like they're so open with it. It's that's what I told you. I'm like, it's not gonna be that big of a. Of course, you're gonna have some uproar.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like, you know what I mean? But
So we live in an outrage world, right? It's like
I remember telling him when we first had outrage, and I said, listen, I pretty much don't do anything without some type of controversy where people don't agree. But I've always been the person, I do it anyway because that's kind of how for me, I've achieved anything. Like if I just went with the crowd, I just wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Those are the people who kind of sit around and do nothing, and they complain after when they miss a chance to do something, right?
Yeah.
So who cares?
We got hit with the. They came after us hard.
Yeah.
I will say, hey, it's been an interesting change for me, right? There was a time when, I could go to New York City, go to any club in New York,
Yeah.
welcomed in, get a table for free, and just sit there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things change, right? You take an approach, there's good and there's bad, right?
There was a time where I think the name Trump was just royalty when it came to like hip. Every rapper wanted to compare themselves in terms of opulence. I'm this guy. Like, I'm this guy, I'm cool. And then, hey, politics is a hell of a game.
Oh, yeah? No, it's
You know what I mean?
vicious, man. It's,
No?
yeah.
You want to go sit inside, Doc?
Yeah. Let's have a nice tea, please. Thank you.
Yo, this is gonna get. You're gonna leak it to no jumper first. Is that the plan? Once we get this photo,
Yeah.
you have your phone, right? And then
Yeah.
you send it to no jumper, and then it's gonna go.
Look at you go, Chris.
I don't want to give back another $500 million. We just gave New York State $500 million. We're going to keep something.
For half the year, like with the upgrades on it. I feel like it's fortified.
Oh, it is. And what's sort of interesting, when you actually spend any time in the White House itself is actually not that big. Like the actual thing. So, you can definitely make that.
It's better than that.
He was the first president where it was a downgrade.
Yeah.
Going to the White House was a downgrade. You go into government housing.
Yeah. How big is a quarters does he get there? Like, obviously he gets wherever he wants here, but like in the White House, like how much of the White House does he have access? Well, that isn't like polluted by a bunch of other people.
The West Wing sort of, the East Wing where the residence is. That's like,
Okay.
People don't get to go in there without sort of an invite. The West Wing is a little bit more.
How big is that?
Honestly, the White House itself is actually fairly small. Like, it gets it done, but it's, it was built a long time ago before they probably realized the size requirements and,
Yeah,
all that stuff.
I don't think they would like quadruple the size.
Hey guys. How are you? That's actually, I told him he's the guy that stole Marvel from Carl Icahn,
Yeah.
Marvel Comics and all that stuff. All that sold it to Disney. He's the #2 shareholder at Disney.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So kind of a badass.
Jeez.
Yeah. $7 billion worth
A lot
of
of,
music.
lot of those
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll keep that off.
Yeah.
Between us girls.
Yeah.
And your wife is like, hey, listen, Kendrick Lamar, that guy sampled me. Like,
Yeah.
he actually had my face on the screen
At Coachella.
At Coachella.
Yeah.
And then we connect to the car, we play the song, and of course she sampled, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I know we were talking about that
Yeah.
fight, and I did a little bit, like, just looking into it, but
Yeah.
and we started hitting on it last night. I'm like, yeah, I think we're losing the plot when everyone's like, well, you're broke because you only live in a $30 million house, and I live in a $400 million house. I'm like, I don't know, man. These are high-class problems. Like, I'm a reasonably spoiled individual, and I'm like, this
That
does
was
not
Rick
seem like the
Ross.
fight.
that
Like,
was Rick Ross and Drake. Drake is like, hey, you wish you could have a $88 million house, and Rick Ross has a $35 million house.
Yeah,
and
like,
he's like,
I don't know.
you live on a Slither cheesecake.
yeah, like, this is an interesting fight.
Yeah.
This is not like the old school days in hip hop when it was sort of funny. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Like, I'm curious. Like, is there a point where like actually people get pissed off? Because it's like
No, they're pissed off.
that aren't part of the fight. I mean, do the fans ever say, like,
Okay.
okay, enough? Like, this is bullshit. Like, what do you mean?
People
Like,
are
there
pissed
may
off
be
now.
good things to have a beef about, but that may not be it.
People are a little pissed off now because this feels like this is like a side mission, right? So these guys supposed to battle musically, and now they're arguing about whose jet is bigger, whose jet is real,
Yeah.
who owns the jet, whose jet is old, and who houses bigger, which is kind of like
Well, Rick Ross did something pretty cool. It was a couple months ago. He took a picture of his jet, I think next to my father's.
really.
Yeah, like I think it was on his Instagram feed somewhere. I think it was a couple months ago. But it was pretty funny. It was an interesting commentary, and that's sort of where, actually be curious. I'll go back and read the feed later on, sort of what people think about that. But like, I remember in 2017, Snoop did like, a video. It was like a sort of simulated drive-by shooting of Trump.
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks ago, it was like, hey man, I got nothing but love for Trump. And I'm wondering, is that like, does he feel those things
This
within?
is it right here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Trump's plane's a little bit bigger, but Rick Ross that's a pretty
It's
badass
like a
plane. It's
commercial
like a cheap
Like,
757.
Jesus Christ.
It's really nice inside though. Yeah. Next time you're down, I'll take you in there.
You got to send a message to Rick Ross now. Like, everyone's having rich house right now. You got to tell them, like, hey, listen, you got the moped or the private jet side.
I don't know. Rick Ross's plane is much bigger than mine. Not so much bigger than my dad's, but bigger than mine, because I don't have one. I fly commercial coach.
Well, why don't you have a jet? You're doing pretty good.
I do well. Listen, it's just not who I am. You know what I mean? I'm not that. I live in a great house and stuff like that.
It's
But
not like a
I drive a pickup truck. I just, it's
You
like
like the finer things. Like
I do, but it's not. It's like I would never spend my money on that stuff. Like
Yeah.
now, like maybe there's a number that you get to that you're like that. I would rather give the money to charity than like, spend 20 grand to get somewhere where I can be there on a $300 ticket on JetBlue. Like it doesn't make any sense for me. Like it's just not the way I'm programmed. Like I skipped the Trump bling gene.
your father definitely has that.
That's different. Yeah, he's got the bling gene.
Because even as we were at the $18 million crib yesterday, what they call $18 million.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
So
You should go see
ridiculous.
Drake's house or Kendrick's place,
Yeah.
and then come back and compare it to Mar-a-Lago. Given and see what you think.
Well, I mean, I know real estate, so
Yeah.
you guys showed me literally lots, right? Like, hey, the house right there that's about like 1/20th the size. That's $45 million. We're talking about Palm Beach, so it's like we're not talking about like
Yeah, because it's hard for people to understand. Like,
Yeah.
you think of an $18 million home, and it might as well be,
yeah.
Disney World. Like it doesn't, and yet in Palm Beach, like an $18 million home, it's like it's legitimately like a shitty teardown on a quarter acre. Like it's crazy.
That's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it doesn't matter in the eyes of a judge in New York State. He just says, no, it's 18. Well, here's 5 appraisals from people who are the biggest real estate people in Palm Beach. Doesn't matter.
That's odd.
But that's the legal system we're dealing with right now. That's how much bullshit it is. But no one hears that, right? Like you watch CNN, they won't tell you that part of the story. They won't.
I was very shocked just like driving through there, and it's like, hey, you could pull up your Zillow app, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that place right there, that's like just way smaller. Oh, that's $40 million.
Oh yeah, and
That's
not even like hypothetical on the market.
this is like pristine, like land. Like this is Palm Beach. Like you're literally on. Like it's
You're on
amazing,
the, I mean,
right?
you're on the ocean. You're on the. It's not like an inner lot. Like
Exactly.
I mean,
and then we get to the biggest place of them all. That's almost like all of them combined, and they're like, it's actually 1/3 the price of everything else.
Yeah, when that happened, I called my dad. I was like, "Hey, if Mar-a-Lago's worth 18, I'll take 10.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'll come up with the money.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, I want 10 of those because
Nevada, they're seeing the most amount of aliens. I knew the one alien still was bullshit in Miami. I'm like, the aliens are not going to South Beach, okay? The aliens go to the.
Well, but I think they also find them in the random areas because you don't have all the light pollution, so you're able to see these phenomenon in space that you just don't get. Like in New York City, you don't see the stars ever because everything else is so bright. Like just the shit in the air catches it. So it's always these. You know, once you get outside of Vegas, you have nothing for hours. You know what I mean? Like you can find these places. So you know that sort of makes sense just from a visual perspective. But like, listen, I am not. I believe like 100% there has to be something. Like you can't have. Like we're the one like unique phenomenon in something that's infinitely large, the size of the universe. Like I'm like that can't be. I don't know if that's a sentient being or an amoeba. There's probably a lot of all of it, but there's got to be something.
I remember watching Independence Day, and I always remember like Will Smith like dragging that alien back, and I'm like, there has to be like an alien carcass somewhere, like in a lab that we're studying their how they do.
Well, because they all look the same in the movies, right? Like, why is that the choice? Why doesn't it look totally different? They all kind of always look the same.
Maybe the person who really saw the alien, he gave it the
this is the design.
Reparations. That's a conversation that's been ongoing. I feel like it comes up here and there, and people always wait for some type of, hey, listen, if people are getting either paychecks or what's supposedly due to them, what about African Americans' reparations?
Yeah, I'm not generally. I think it's you see the stuff going on in California, and it's like, well, if we took 10x the California budget, this is. I'm like, what? Like, I look at, me. Do I pay into this? Like, my grandparents came here in 1906. We were never. Right?
I think the idea is that African Americans built the country, so anybody who even are even a byproduct or recipient of anything good should pay into the people who were the ancestors that helped build the foundation, and those direct descendants of those ancestors somehow, which obviously wouldn't be me.
Yeah, look, I get the concept. I'm sort of, I'm not long these concepts because I think they're too complicated. I think they get taken too advantage of. I think, when you see some of the numbers that are being thrown around, it's like mind-blowing.
Like Bernie had said, he had mentioned that too. Like, it's like,
California, they're like, oh, it's like $30 trillion, and we can be fine. I'm like, wait a minute, like what are you talking? Like that's. So I don't know. I think it's one of these things. Obviously, it's disgusting and terrible time in our country. But I don't know how you do that reasonably, logically, equitably.
If there was a way, say some little genius came up with a way. Hey, listen, we're not giving no more money to Ukraine. They're cut off. We're not giving this, and then this excess money we're going to give some to schools, some this, and let's give this about.
Well, that's different.
Let's market is something else. Like, isn't that what they do?
But I think you're starting to do that, with schools, or again, funding historically black universities. You're not necessarily funding historically white universities, right? There is some difference. There is some play there. I think you've seen, certainly. This will get you in trouble or me in trouble, but you see some of that with affirmative action or something like right there. There has been stuff in there. Now, people are going to say that's not enough, and people are going to say it's terrible that you say that. But I think as a country we're trying to get through that. I think as someone who's been out there a lot, all over the place, I don't and have not seen sort of the rampant racism. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, right? But it does not seem like it's what it's made out to be. And I think there's probably racism in cultures across. You see I see a lot of gay guys hate the trans people, and I kind of want to get to a point where everyone stops hating each other.
Yeah.
And taking from one to give to another now, and understanding again the history. Like I don't know that solves any of these problems going forward.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a multi-pronged, multi-varied.
Yeah, and that's again, I'm trying to be as honest as I can without also getting but man, it's not easy.
Yeah.
My question.
That's exactly what I in the scenario of creating what would be a great broadcast. It was this.
I'm glad to hear that. Like I said,
I'm very happy.
Try to have some fun, joke around, talk about get some serious stuff covered too, which is also
Yeah, yeah.
important, you know?
No, I'm glad you have like a sense of humor. You know what I mean? Because at first I was racking my brain. I'm like, hey, listen, all right, when you get in, the day before you sit with him, you're gonna have to do like this crash course on everything American politics, because he's gonna just be so talking above your head. He's
No, I was thinking that, I was like, holy crap, I gotta really learn my hip hop. You know, it's been a while.
But like I can tell, like you relate to the regular person, man. And that's the important part. Like you relate to the regular person who they care about what they care about, and you know they're not here necessarily to have somebody talk above their head, because sometimes politics comes across like that.
Oh yeah, no,
It's
exactly.
like, hey, you're so complicated.
I think the worst politicians are the ones that I want you to think I'm the smartest guy in the world. It's like, you know, you don't have to agree with me. This is my opinion. So
Exactly.
yeah, I've always approached it that way. Just, you know,
No, I appreciate you so much.
my pleasure.
Thank you.
Awesome, man.